Let's go ahead and jump into the message on today. I want to just talk to you today, part 4 in our series, The Blessing Flow, talking about the generosity that changes lives. And if you've been here at Hope City for any extended period of time, you know I've done a teaching through the story of the book of Ruth and just the power of how God used the story of Ruth and Boaz to show his generosity, just how much he loved us. This story is not just a story about a man and a woman who fell in love. It's a story about a God that so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So I don't want us to miss the heartbeat of what this story is about, Ruth and Boaz. And so just kind of give you some backdrop quickly. Ruth's story doesn't begin in the field, it begins in loss. I'm saying again, Ruth's story does not begin in the field, it begins in loss. We always hear the story about her gleaning in the field and ultimately meeting her Boaz, but it didn't start there. It started with a loss. If you know the story that Naomi and her husband, they left Bethlehem when in a season of famine, and they went away, and during that time that they went away, Naomi lost her husband. He would end up dying. Her boys went with them. He would end up dying. The boys would end up getting married to Moabite women. In the process of time, these boys end up dying as well. And Naomi had made it up in her mind that she was going to go back home to Bethlehem, particularly after she got word that God had visited them with bread. And so, meaning that the famine was over with. And so when Naomi told her daughters, I'm going back home, you guys can move forward and go find you other husbands and get married again since you're so young. And the daughters basically said, no, we're not going to go away. Wherever you go, we're going to go. Your people will be our people. Your God will be our God. And Naomi just persisted, no, you're too young. Go forward. Start your life all over again. So the two daughters, Ruth and Orpah, one of them heard her out. One of them heard what Naomi had to say. So she kissed her mother-in-law and she returned back to her people. But Ruth didn't do that. Ruth would not leave her side. Ruth literally cleaved to her. So watch this here. One did go back, but one stayed with her. And I don't think neither one was wrong. I think it was a part of their purpose and their story. I think it was Oprah's purpose to go back to be with her people, but I also believe that it was Ruth's purpose to stay with her mother-in-law, Naomi, which was going to become a powerful story of redemption, of how God was going to take Ruth and put her in the redemptive plan of Jesus Christ. And that just shows me just how God will go through so much just to redeem you. How God would go through so much to show you just how much he loved you, that he will put you a part of his redemptive plan. And so Ruth, not hearing out her mother-in-law, she cleaved to her. She moved forward. She ended up going back home. The people heard about this Naomi who had went away. And Naomi always tells a story that I went out full, but I came back empty. And what she meant by that, she left out full, meaning I left with a husband. I left with sons. But now I come back home. I don't have a husband and I don't have my sons. And so, but don't miss this though. In her words, I left out full, but I came back empty. Because she herself did not see what was about to happen with her. She did not even see that though you lost your husband, though you lost your sons, though you think in your mind you left full and you're coming back empty, the reality is you're not coming back empty. You're coming back with the full redemptive plan that God had for all mankind. And this is what we miss sometimes in our own personal life, that we go through struggles. Sometimes we go through disappointment. Sometimes we go through loss. Sometimes in this world, we do lose certain things. But when you understand kingdom purpose and kingdom assignment, all things work together for them that love the Lord and got a call according to purpose. So what Ruth thought she lost, what Naomi thought she lost, she really did not lose. It was all a part of God's plan. Somebody say God's plan. It was literally all a part of God's plan. And let's be very clear. Some of God's plans is not comfortable to us. We don't necessarily like all the parts of God's plan, but some of the things that God knows, he's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He understands that you are married right now, but God sometimes knows 10 years from now, you're not going to be married to the person you're married to right now. God already knows 20 years from now how your son, daughter will lose their life. God sees what you don't see. And he equates that in the process. He knows a disease you don't have right now. He's already in the future. 20 years from now, nothing you go through catches God by surprise. He already sees it. He already knows it. And he's already finding a way to make it work out for your good. But it's hard for us to understand that because all we see is what? The moment. And Naomi, all she saw was the moment. I lost my husband. I lost my boys. And rightfully so, she should be mourning. Rightfully so, she should be sad. Rightfully so, she should be disappointed. But we have to remember that weeping may endure for a night, but at some point, joy will come back in your life. Whether it's a physical loss, a emotional life, a psychological loss, a spiritual loss, you will mourn for a moment. You will be disappointed for a moment, but you have to wake yourself up and say, God, what is the rest of the story? What else is tied to this? And in that moment, she could not even see that her bringing Ruth home was a part of God's big plan. Watch this here. Matter of fact, if she would have never left home, if her husband in the midst of that famine would have never left home, they would have never bumped into Ruth. They would have never bumped into Ruth, and Ruth was already a part of God's plan. So God will create situations and circumstances to make you bump into people that's a part of your destiny. And sometimes the things that's created is not comfortable. They're not favorable. Yes, God, it's not God's will for death and sickness to come our way, but because we are in this sin-fallen world, he's found a way to make it work out on our behalf. It wasn't his desire for her to lose her husband or lose her boys, but because this sin-filled world and Satan is doing his work as well, God has already created a plan to find benefits in the negativity that happened in her life. And he said, you know what, since you're going to Moab, since you're going over there, I'm going to have you bump into a girl named Ruth who I already put in the process of being the one that will meet a man named Boaz one day. See, Ruth would have never met Boaz, or Boaz would have never met Ruth if Naomi and her husband would have never left the land they were in. Are you getting my point? This happens in your personal life as well. At the company you're at right now, sometimes you're at that company for a reason. You moved to that city for a reason. You work at that job for a reason. Some of you were not bumped into certain people who are key in your life right now. If Pastor T and I did not decide to move to Savannah almost 11 years ago to start this church, some of us, for sure, I would not have known none of you. And some of you would not have bumped into certain people. And some of you met your spouses here. Come on, somebody. We don't fully understand the... Okay, Ashley. You got real happy just then, I said. It just certain little nuances that we don't understand sometimes. Who remember the movie years ago? Of course, y'all young people won't get it, and actually you're considered young right now. Who remember the story, The Butterfly Effect? You remember that movie there? Yeah, and the guy, he wanted a particular girl. And so he had this gift that he could change things. But the butterfly effect says you just changing one thing doesn't just change one thing. It changes multiple things. So he wanted to be with this particular girl, so he changed one thing to be with her. But in this change he did, it now made him, it actually put him in a wheelchair. So he was paralyzed. He had the girl, but in this life that he wanted, he was a paralyzed person with the girl. And so many times we don't understand the nuances of things, how God deals with the nuances. So he thought he wanted her, and maybe he did wanted her, but God says, hey, I'm not going to do it that way because you're going to get in a car accident if you go that way. And God moved things around. Just little small little pushes from God keeps us away from dangers that we cannot even see sometimes. But then we question if he really loves us. We question if he really cares. All things work together. Matter of fact, God has spared some of you guys, and you don't even know it. He spared you from a person, from a people, from a place, and you still mourning over what was. God says it's time to rejoice over what will be. Come on, somebody. And this is what Ruth and Naomi is going to discover when they discover that there's going to be a field that Ruth is going to glean in. And this field that Ruth is going to glean in is going to be a field that belongs to one of her relatives. And Naomi understands that, man, if you can get the eye of my fellow relative and he desires you and he likes you, it's a possibility that he will marry you. And when he marry you, it puts us back in the family. And putting us back in the family means that everything that our brothers had, you get it. Everything that my husband had, you get it. We get it. Somebody say, we get it. God deals with the small things. He's trying to connect you with purpose and destiny. Listen, true generosity doesn't just meet needs. It restores hope, opens doors, and positions people for God's future. Boaz will show us what giving looks like when it reflects the heart of God. Okay, so Boaz, and I even love this story even the more so because we're going to learn that Boaz, or we won't learn from this message here, I just share it, but Boaz's mother was, who know who Boaz's mother was? Rahab. I mean, who was a prostitute. Again, just showing you how God will find a way to put you in the lineage of Jesus Christ because he loves you that much. And so for some of you who say, can't nothing good come out of your life, can't nothing good come out of your bloodline, Boaz, who is a picture of God, if you would, a picture of Jesus in this story, who God was going to use to restore man back to himself. It's a beautiful picture that we cannot overlook. Look what it says here in Ruth chapter 2, verse number 15. It says, as she got up to glean, Boaz gave orders to his men, let her gather among the sheaves and don't reprimand her. Even pull out some stalks for her from the bundles and leaves and leave them for her to pick up and don't rebuke her. This was a form of, I don't want to say welfare, but this was a type of welfare that those that owned fields, they will always leave some for those that did not have to be able to go back at the end of the day and pick those items up. So this was their way of making sure that they were being generous and kind. They'll get all of their good stuff and leave enough behind for those that were without. And Boaz got word about this woman that was in the field and where she came from and how this woman took care of Naomi while she was away. And he wanted to extend some kindness to her. Somebody say, God, extend your kindness to me. Here's the first point I want to make real fast. Generosity sees what others ignore. I'm going to say it again. Generosity sees what others ignore. Boaz noticed Ruth when others overlooked her. I'm going to say it again. Boaz noticed Ruth when others overlooked her. She was a foreigner. She was a widow. She was a stranger picking up leftovers, yet Boaz saw her worth. And that's what we were doing on yesterday. We saw people's worth. We saw people's value who were in need, maybe some single mother, some man who lost a job. We saw people who had values. Many times people will ignore these individuals because they don't care, but God sees them. True generosity begins with eyes open. If we don't open our eyes to see the opportunities that are around us, we will miss an opportunity for us to be used by God. One of our teams were down at the Old Savannah Missions. And I mean, they was worshiping out there. They were serving out there. They were doing what? They was making a difference. They saw a need and they filled it. Generosity does not ignore the pains and the problems that is around us. It sees it and it feels the need. Ruth 2:5 says, Boaz asked the overseer of his service or of his harvesters, who does that young woman belong to? He wanted to know, who does she belong to? And when he found out who she belonged to, he said, leave her not just some leftovers. Be intentional. Leave some extras for her. Leave some on purpose. And I'm telling some of you right now, God is going to leave some stuff out for you on purpose. God's going to do some things for you in this season here for purpose. He's going to do some things just for you because of who you are. He's going to ask, who is that girl? Who's that guy that's feeding the homeless? Who's that person that's going under the bridge? Who's that person going out to who is that person's there? And when he finds out who you are, he's going to say, leave them more than enough. Can we give God a praise for that on today? Boaz noticed. He noticed what others ignored. And that's where generosity starts, you guys. Just seeing what other people ignore. As a church, we got to see where others ignore. As an individual, you got to see what other people ignore. What possibility, what thing that God may be trying to present to you in this season that others are ignoring, but he wants you to see it. What need, what single mother in this season here, what neighbor that's not too far away from you that may has a need, and God said, don't close a blind eye. I want you to see it. I want you to see the need, and I want you to feel it, because here's the thing. God's not going to ask you to fill a need that he's not giving you the resources to supply. I'm going to say it again. God's not going to ask you to fill a need that he has not already given you the resources to supply. The question is, are you taking your seed and you eating it versus using it to bring increase in the life of somebody else? He's never going to ask you to do something he has not already equipped you to do. Point number 2, generosity protects and it provides. Generosity protects and it provides. Boaz did not just give Ruth grain. He gave her protection. He gave her respect, he gave her dignity, and he gave her opportunity. I'm going to say it again. Boaz did not just give Ruth grain. See, some of you just looking for food to eat today, but God's trying to give you more than food to eat today. See, God is not trying to give you a hand out, he's trying to give you a hand up. He gave her protection, respect, dignity, and opportunity. I mean, the opportunities that she did not even see in the moment. In the moment she saw an opportunity maybe for marriage. She saw an opportunity for someone to cover her. But she didn't even see down the portals of history of how God was going to use her to make a difference in the lives of, watch this here, you and I. Because they did what? They were going to help bring Jesus Christ on the scene. Boaz did not just give her grain. And some of you got to elevate your thinking in this season. You're trying to get a meal for today, and God is trying to meet your needs for the rest of your life. Don't miss that there. You're trying to get a meal for today, but God is trying to meet your needs for the rest of your life. And sometimes, don't forget, your struggle is not God's. Your struggle can be sometimes God's strategy to get you to your established destiny. And so don't allow the struggle that you may be experiencing right now to cause you to fall back and to give up. No, God can be using that struggle as a strategy, just like he did with Naomi. That struggle that she was going through, losing her husband, losing her boys, God was going to use that struggle ultimately as a part of his strategy to get Ruth into the presence of Boaz. Come on, think about that, you guys. Think about your own life. I mean, think about you, Shanna, the things that God did to get you into the knowledge of getting the right person, to give you the kidney transfer. We think stuff just happened, that it just, no, it's a process behind the scenes. All the dots are being cut. That was a miracle for the right person at the right time to find you, to give you the right kidney. Providence is like the hand of God behind the scene that we can't see, working things out for our good. It's almost like a man with a glove on his hand playing baseball. You can't see his hand, all you see is the glove. But there's something behind that glove that's moving, and that's his hand. And that's the same thing with God. Providence is moving, but behind providence is the hand of God putting the right people in the right place at the right time. Come on, that's good news, somebody, to know that God is that intricate about the details of your life, of putting you in the right places at the right time, moving you at the right time. This is reason why it is important for he that has ears to hear what the Spirit of God is saying, because watch this here, you will miss your moment. You will miss your moment if you cannot sense what God is doing in that season. What if Ruth would have gave up and said, okay, Naomi, you're right. I'm going to stay back here and stay with my people. Ruth would have missed her moment. She would have missed the opportunity to be a part of God's redemptive plan. How many of us have been talked out of what God's trying to talk us into? Literally, Naomi could have talked Ruth out of what God was trying to do for her life. But Ruth said, no, your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you live, I will live. Where you lay your head is where I'm going to lay my. She was that serious about not leaving Naomi. What are the places in this season here that you got to get serious about not leaving? Because you understand part of your destiny is tied to it. Come on, somebody. Generosity, it protects and it provides. He made sure the workers did not harm her or harass her. She could drink from their water jars. She could glean freely. She had access to the best parts of the field. Come on, somebody. That's the kind of walk I got with God, y'all. God's allowing me, God's making sure that nobody can harm Corey or harass him. That he could drink from wherever he wants to drink. That he could glean freely. He could ask freely whatever he wants, and I'm going to provide it for him. He has access to the best parts of my kingdom. Come on, somebody. This is what Ruth is demonstrating right here. God showing us what he's doing for Ruth. He's showing you what he wants to do for us through Jesus Christ. He wants to freely provide for us. He wants to protect us. He wants to give us opportunity, and he wants to give us dignity. Can we give God a praise for that on today? Listen, generosity isn't only about money. It's about giving people safety, support, and strength when they need it the most. Giving them safety and strength and support when they need it the most. You know, we haven't really hit any real cold seasons here yet in Savannah. But of course, we know at some point they're coming. And it'll be cold today, and then it'll be hot again tomorrow. You know, but there's going to be a day where the cold's going to come and the cold's going to stick. Sometimes people don't need money. They need some food, some hot soup, a blanket. And the question is, God want to know is, how does that look to you? How would you be a Boaz in this season for somebody? How would you be the hand, the feet, the heartbeat, the love, the hug, the blanket, the cup of soup that somebody needs in this season here? You know, I'm always reminded during these times of year, one of my favorite first outreaches I've done, and that's when I was in Jacksonville, did not have a public ministry. It was just a personal desire. And I can just still see my truck right now, and I will make a big old pot of soup, and I had big old pots of hot chocolate. And I would go to certain parts of downtown Savannah, pull my truck up, and just wait, and people would come. Cold outside. Got some blankets in the car, some sweaters in the car that I found. What little ways can God use you in this season to make a difference? That has nothing to do with the church, nothing to do with a organization, no lights, no cameras, just you deciding, I got some stuff in my house here I don't need. Where can I take it? Come on, somebody. Imagine that becoming the culture and the heartbeat of everybody. We would not need organizations. If we really take care of our neighbors for real, the way Jesus was saying, we would not need organizations if everybody would play their part in what God desires for us to do is just to be neighborly, to be a good-hearted people. I think about just even in my house, the amount of food we make sometimes and don't eat it and just trash it. Come on, somebody. Come on, just imagine if we were more intentional about the leftovers that we got in our own houses, in our own cupboards, that goes to waste week in and week out. And then we get mad with God when we don't get everything we want, when God says, you got everything you need. Well, I wanted a Bentley, and he got me a Cadillac. Go in the corner somewhere. That's literally what God would say to you. There's some people driving bicycles right now, roller skates right now. And watch this here. They're walking on their feet right now. But the grace of God has extended so much more to us. Can we give him a praise for that? Some of us got 3 cars in our parking lot. I remember there was a time some people, one household only had 1 car. Come on, somebody. Now the household got 3 cars. If you live in a subdivision, some of these houses got 5 and 6 cars. I don't like those subdivisions. Particularly, they got 2 on the side of the road. But some of these subdivisions don't play. You got to park your car in your driveway. If it can't park, they'll go live somewhere else. Freely, God wants to bless us. Look what it says here in Ruth chapter 2, verse 9. He said, I have told the men not to lay a hand on you. And whenever you are thirsty, go and drink from the water jars the men have filled. I need for you to start reading the book of Ruth through the lenses of what Jesus Christ was going to ultimately come and do to redeem mankind and restore mankind to himself. I want you to start reading the book of Ruth through the eyes of how a heavenly Father would go through so much to redeem you and restore you and protect you and care for you. That's what the story of Ruth is all about. You see a marriage made in heaven, and it is. But it's a marriage between God and his people. It's a relationship, God showing that he's coming after the one. And watch this here. You are the one. Can we give God a praise for that? You are the one. Come on, no, come on. That's weak. Somebody say, I am the one. Yeah, if Jesus had to come for one person, he would have came for you. And that is good news, somebody, that he decided just for me. Don't think about the world, yes, God, but think about you. God died, Jesus died for me. He created a plan the same way he did with Naomi to restore Ruth. He's doing the same thing in my personal life as well. That's good news, somebody. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what you've been through. I don't know your story. I don't know the mountain. I don't know the valley. I don't know what job you lost. I don't know what person walked out on you. I'm telling you, God is crafting you a story right now, and it may not look good in the moment, but if you keep walking with him, he's going to give you a story that will blow your mind. Can we give him a praise for that on today? He's writing your story. He is writing your story. And in any good book, there's parts of the stories that we don't like. But at the end of the day, turn the chapter. There's going to be another chapter. And I'm telling you, the story is going to get better. My story is going to get better. Matter of fact, tell somebody next to you, say, hey, the story is going to get better. Your story is going to get better. It's going to get better. It is going to get better. Listen, the laws of gleaning, Ruth said that Ruth could pick up leftovers. That's it. She could only pick up leftovers. It's almost like saying it's a restaurant or store here in Savannah, and it's all over, called Panera's. And Panera's, at a certain time of the day, any leftover breads they have left over, nonprofits come and pick those leftovers up. And they get to use those leftovers maybe to give away. Gleaning law said Ruth could pick up the leftovers. In other words, Ruth could come by not at 6 o'clock in the morning when the bread is fresh at Panera's. She can come at about 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 when the store is about to close, and they took the leftovers and put them in big brown or black plastic bags, and she can get the leftovers. That's what the gleaning law said to Ruth. She could pick up the leftovers. But Boaz said, leave her more than leftovers. She can come at 7 o'clock in the morning and pick up the fresher ones. Come on, somebody. That is what God is saying to us, that he is not giving us the leftovers. He's giving us the best parts of who he is and what we have. The whole field is ours. The whole field is mine. There's no dream, there's no vision, there's no mission that's in your heart that God cannot fulfill. There's no dream that you're dreaming that's too big. There's no hope you have that God cannot fill. God wants you to believe and think as high as you can. He owns the cattle on the hills and the hills that the cattle. He owns it all. And he wants you to know because that you are his, it belongs to you as well. He instructed the workers. Watch this here. I love this here. He instructed the workers to purposely drop grain for her to gather. So it's like you're going and you're gathering your grain, and some fall out by mistake, But in this case here, he said, be intentional. Make sure some fall out. Matter of fact, push some out if you have to make sure all of your needs are supplied according to his riches in glory. That's what God desires to do for you in this season here, to make sure that you have exceedingly, abundantly, above all that you could think or act, according to the power that worketh in us. And I need us to get this mindset, to move from this mindset of poverty, this mindset of scarcity, to a mindset of abundance. Come on, seriously. I need you to move from a mindset of scarcity to abundance, to a mindset that my God will supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory. I just need to know the strategy. I just need to know the plan. And thank God that Ruth was willing to listen to Naomi when her mother-in-law said, hey, I know who owns that field. Boaz owns that field. Let me give you some instructions on how to go before him. She could have said, no, I got this, mama. I know how to do this right here. No, she said, tell me, what do I need to do? Some of us need to learn how to take instructions. Some of us need to learn how to listen. Somebody's giving us guidance and wisdom how to go forward so that we can get all that God desires for us. I'll clap myself for that one right there. Because some of us can take a posture that I don't need no one to tell me what to do. You know, Miss Jackie, for example, Brown, who was helping with the Hope for Savannah. And I mean, she really was the organizer behind it with me, and she'll often send me emails already laying things out and say, hey, what do you think? I'm gonna say, love it, run with it. Hey, love it, run with it. I don't have to be the one that knows everything. I just need people around me that know things. Come on, somebody out. So she made me look good. Whole weekend, like Pastor Corey, you did a great job. Reverend Williams, you did a great job. Mr. Williams did a great job. You are so intelligent, Mr. Williams. I'm like, thank you very much. Even though this came from Jackie. Come on, somebody. Come on. Thank you, Jackie, for all you did this weekend, man. Yeah. She was willing to listen, and her willing to listen to Naomi set her up for the rest of her life. Let me hasten to finish here. Boaz didn't ask, how little can I give? He asked, how much more can I do? He didn't say, how little can I give? What's the bare minimum can I do just to say I did something? Okay, I know you said 3 hours, but can I get away with doing just 20 minutes? No. He didn't say, how little can I give? He asked, how much more can I do? And that's what abundance mindset is like. Ruth 2:16 says, even pull out some stalks for her from the bundles and leave them for her. That's the kind of God I serve. That's how God is setting my life up right now. That more than enough. So then that I can go be a blessing to other people. God is on purpose and intentional talking to people on my behalf. He said, some people can't resist me. Come on, somebody. Even when you want to object and resist me, God's already talking to them about me. Come on, y'all. I'm saying about me right now, but I'm really talking about you. God is talking to people about you already. And when they want to resist you, they won't be able to resist you because God's already put it in their heart to take care of you. And again, we can't see how God in his providence is behind the scene orchestrating everything on our behalf. I don't know about you, but I don't live a que sera type life. I am convinced that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. I am convinced that if I give my day to God and I give my life to God and let him order my steps, he will put me in the right places at the right time with the right people. And that's the type of mindset we have to have. Even pull out some stalks for her from the bundles. That's intentional generosity. Point number 4, last one and we're done. Generosity positions people for God's future. What Boaz gave Ruth that day became the seed of something bigger. I'm going to say it again. What Boaz gave Ruth that day became the seed of something bigger. Think about whatever you thought you gave somebody this week here. Maybe someone needed $50 extra to get gas or $50 extra to pay the light bill, and you thought it was just $50. For them, it was the possibility of the lights being turned off at 12 noon. And because you gave what you thought was nothing, $50, it meant I got lights tonight. That bag of food that you thought you just casually walked in here and dropped off, because everybody don't always tell you how deep their story really is, that they really did not have no food in the cabinet. That was just a little light thing for you, but that actually made sure somebody ate last night. We don't know the depths and the pain of the story sometimes. What Boaz gave Ruth that day became the seed of something bigger. She thought she was just about to eat for a day or eat for a few days, that her meal, her stomach is now about to be full. But God was going to do something that was going to be bigger than making sure she had her daily bread. It was going to be, watch us here, because we're talking about Ruth right now, what it was going to do for her. But this was going to be provision also for Naomi. Y'all missed it. The mother-in-law who was responsible for bringing her with her is going to be a partaker of what this daughter-in-law is about to get. See, don't think just because you are not, for lack of words, the main character, because supporting cast matters. I would go so far as to say without the supporting cast, there cannot be no main character. Y'all see the worship team singing, and y'all think Ashley and all the singers sang good? You let the musicians back out. Come on, don't miss how all things work together. I need you. You need me. We're all a part of this intricate thing that God is working together. What Boaz gave Ruth that day became the seed of something bigger. Provision for Naomi, restoration for their family, redemption for Ruth, the lineage of King David, and ultimately the lineage of Jesus Christ. You got to learn how to see the bigger picture and what you're going through. A generous act today can change someone's tomorrow. Boaz thought he was feeding one woman, but God was building a family line that will bring the Savior. Your generosity always reaches further than you see. I think about all the stuff that we've done this year, whether it's the Boys Club, whether it's Girls of Purpose, whether it's the Habitat for Humanity, whether it's the showers of blessings, whether it's the outreaches that we do around the city, going to the prison, going overseas. It always reaches further than we see. I close right here. Ruth chapter 4:14 says, "Praise be to the Lord, for he has not left you without a guardian redeemer today." She had a redeemer. But the redeemer, as much as beautiful as the story is with Ruth, is bigger than that. We have a redeemer. Jesus Christ redeemed us from the penalty of death and of sin. One act of generosity can change the entire trajectory of someone's life. Find a single woman who just need a little push this season here. You'll be surprised how many girls end up still becoming school teachers and nurses and this or that because somebody in her time of need gave her the seed she needed. a seed of hope, maybe some diapers, maybe $50 extra, maybe paid the light bill, maybe paid the rent 1 month that gave her the ability now to be freed up for a whole month to get herself back on track. All you see is helping out for that moment. God's trying to help us out for a lifetime. And sometimes our generous act of kindness can make a difference. I leave you with this challenge here. I want you to ask God this week, show me a Ruth. Show me a John, a David, whoever that I can bless. God, show me someone I could bless. Show me someone to see who's gone unseen, that everyone just walks right past them. You'll be surprised how many people haven't had a conversation with a human being in weeks or months. Stop by a nursing home. Go to a room. Some older lady, some older man has been waiting for a grandson, a granddaughter, a son or daughter to come by and see them, but no one has stopped by to see them. Maybe ask God this week to show you someone to protect, someone to lift, someone to bless beyond what's required.